Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Server Room. This time I have Aswim, product evangelist of ManageEngine with me. It's a pleasure having you here, Aswim.
Thank you, Alshareen.
So how are you feeling today? Are you excited?
Today is very nice. Yeah, it's a nice weather outside though.
Yeah, it is. So it was hard to get your dates. Have you been traveling a lot lately?
Yeah, of course, we are traveling a lot. After pandemic, I can say that we increased a lot of activity, physical activity. During pandemic, we had so many online activity. People stopped listening to webinars. So yeah, a lot of travel.
Okay. So what was your last visit?
We had a 3-city roadshow in South Africa.
Okay.
It was in Durban, Cape Town, and Joburg. Yeah, it was really good, interactive.
How was the tech landscape in South Africa? Did you find any difference?
That's a nice question. See, South Africa is growing. The evolution of adopting various technology, adoption of cloud is growing.
Okay.
But at the same time, you also find people who are coming back from cloud
Okay.
to on-prem, which is a little different because the the place I went just before South Africa was New Jersey.
Okay. So
So
that's
you
a
see a
completely
completely
different
different-
landscape.
Yeah, we sync there. So I can see that people want to adopt new technology in South Africa. In fact, the whole Africa for that matter. They had the power problem, electricity problem.
Okay.
That's a major problem in South Africa. But now they had some election, general election, I think, and the power problem is not that much now.
Okay.
So when the power problem is not there, then the reliability comes more and adoption of technology comes effectively, right? So yeah, a lot of different challenges.
For different regions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. So let's quickly dive into our topic. So today we'll be discussing future-proofing the IT environment with full-stack observability. Many organizations talk about corporate transparency and especially IT transparency. How do you think full-stack observability is impacting the way we see IT transparency?
Right. So IT transparency is so when we say about an organizational transparency, for that matter, the bottom line is the honesty, the truth. That's the philosophy. But when it comes to IT transparency, especially, we have the business which has its customer, right? So the customer and the business is interacting through a medium which is called as the app. So app is no more a part of your business. App is the business, right? So you have this stack of things behind this application. So the customer is facing towards the front end of the application, and then you have the following stacks like the back end of it. You have the database, you have the infrastructure, you have the network, you have the security, right? Which is inside your IT, in the control of your IT. Now, when you say transparency, you have this operation team, you have the security team, you have the database, you have the server team, you have the network team, you have the infrastructure. Infrastructure itself is very complex. Yes. Because these applications are no more just this. Let's say I give you this example. If you in the old school manner, if you have an application created hosted on premise, it is a simple Java EE application. Probably you have a logger within that to give you the logs. You put one application performance monitoring agent within that to give you the information. But today's application is not that simple.
It's way more complex.
Like it's unimaginable. It can be hosted on prem, it can be hosted on your private cloud, it can be hosted on the public cloud, it can be hybrid, it can be it can it can have a lot of microservices. You can have the front end node, you can have a Java application, and you can have a Python application to process the data, and then you may have you might be putting that in a container, Kubernetes. So this is more complex. So this microservices that you're creating, the applications that you're creating, it has its own stack. Means stack itself is a challenge, and these stacks are controlled by different stakeholders, right? Now this transparency to relate here, when there is a problem happens, each team that is handling their aspect will have the data within them, right? So IT transparency is equivalent to data transparency, right? So in this data transparency, if I don't have a single point of truth, if there is a problem happens, then this blame game happens that okay, server team says that my things are fine, that DevOps is like no, it's not fine, this fight, this war. So you need to find out the single point of truth with honesty to troubleshoot honestly and get this MTTR, the troubleshooting time, reduced to give the end user experience better. So you are not just doing it for yourself, you are actually doing it for the entire organization, entire business, and your customers. So IT transparency is very vital. And full stack, when I say full stack observability, if you have this, all these stacks together, have a holistic view, there exactly you give this transparency.
It's really interesting how you spoke about the different teams that are involved in the process, and it is difficult for an organization to manage all the teams and find the root cause of a problem. So that's really interesting how
True, you cannot actually completely dismiss these teams, but the control shift is changing. The app developer, the application owner in like maybe 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago, they didn't have a lot of control on the operation side. So they want to create an application, host an application, they used to request the IT team to give them resource. But now the application owner can host their application anywhere, right? So you have to have a better governance where application owner doesn't have to worry about how you are going to scale it, how you are going to host it. They just have to focus on their development.
Right, yeah. True, that's really interesting. So let's talk about telemetry. How important is telemetry in gaining insights into the operations of an IT infrastructure?
Nice. Actually, this is a brilliant question. Why? Because my pleasure. So telemetry, before telemetry, let me tell you this, the world was still running, right? The world was running with the traditional methods. So when you are monitoring this infrastructure, which is complex, this complexity was not this complex, but it was complex for that era, right? So when you had this 2G, even that was faster for the people living in the 2G
In
era,
that year time. Yeah.
So the data center, when you are looking at a data center, it is complex, and the way the operations was monitoring them, why monitoring is very vital, you cannot escape monitoring, so you have to monitor. We used to use the traditional method of a pull method. That means there are various ways, like you use RPC or SNMP to pull the information from the components that you have in the network. So for an example, let's say you have a switch, core switch, and you want to monitor the health of that. Using the traditional method, the pull method, you want to ask the switch or the component of the network that give me these information, or give me all the information every 10 minutes or every 5 minutes. For example, SNMP, you are pulling the information and the device is giving you. The device is giving you the information of that time when you are asking it, right? Every 10 minutes I'm asking it. So that time, the last state of the information, you get it.
Okay.
But that's not very effective in today's date. How? Let's say you have the same switch and somebody makes a change to it, but your polling is happening after 10 minutes. So you will get this information after 10 minutes, right? In telemetry, what happens, we have different variety of that, but in telemetry, what happens is the push mechanism, right? So the device itself will push the information in two separate design. One, you can set it as a periodic push. So the device is keep on sending you the information that you want periodically. And the second method is whenever there is a change, it'll push the information, right? You can get both of them. So that becomes more realistic and real time.
Correct. Yeah.
Anytime there is a change happens, you are getting this pushed by the device to you. And after getting the information, you have various actions. You collect the data and then you start processing the data, then you analyze that, you create context out of it, and then you go ahead and mitigate the problem. These are different actions you will do. But the data itself, the raw material that you need to get it from the device, how do you want to get it? So telemetry, I understand that is effective because the device has the responsibility to let me know that this thing has happened to me
In real time, yeah.
in real time. So I don't have to go and keep asking all the time, because if I keep asking, I cannot scale it, right? How frequently am I putting the load on it? So if I keep asking this device all the time, the device has some other job as well, right? So push mechanism, which is telemetry, is the best for the real time understanding. Also, there is another aspect of it. So in a data center, so we have the data flow, the data pipeline, we have connectivity. So in every pipeline, there will be leakage, right? So we have these packets moving in, so there will be leakage. Using telemetry, I'll have the precise information of these data leaks as well, right? So I can actually, my mitigation depends on what kind of data I collect. So mitigation is after a planning, how do you want to fix it? But that planning will depend on, again, raw material. So this raw material of data collection, telemetry is the best.
That's really great because I'm sure the audience would greatly benefit from the insights you shared on telemetry, because this is my first time hearing so much in-depth knowledge on telemetry. So that's really nice. Moving on, how do we effectively manage a monitoring tool with the increase in number of applications, systems, servers that requires monitoring?
Again, this is a business aspect, right? So when you grow any growing business, there is a report by IDC I was reading a couple of days ago, that 67% of growing business, they believe in not just digitalization, they believe in the effective way of this digital transformation, right? So when you say this digital transformation, you start with a project, and then you invest a lot, you pump a lot of money, into that project, and eventually either it will become a success after 3-4 years, or you abandon the project. People change, management changes, so you invest a lot towards your digital transformation journey. Within this journey, your business is growing, you are pumping in so many tools to do so many things for all these various teams that we have. Eventually you will end up having redundant tools, right? Same information coming from different tools, but then you also have to maintain these tools that you procure, right? You have to renew them, you have to sit on the calls with the customer service to fix the issues, right? To make sure the tool is working. So I was talking to one of our customer some time ago, that how many tools, these are tech talks between people like us, right? So how many tools do you have in your organization for your operations, right? So the answer was very shady. The answer was like, we truly don't know. We just know that there are few tools that we put dashboard on, right? So this is
That's alarming. Yeah.
This is pathetic. You don't know how many tools you have, how many tools are secure for your organization. So security is one aspect, money is another aspect, and then people who manage these tools is another aspect, right? So tool sprawl is the word. So to deal with this tool sprawling, first thing is we should all agree to this point that we should have some audit for the tools that we have. We have the budget coming in each year, we have the budget to spend on these tools. We need to identify which tools are actually giving us value. And once we understand that, we can go ahead. The next step is, okay, are they doing the similar job? Can we collaborate and find out a consolidated information. So there is something that tool minimalization or IT minimalization that we should work on. So auditing, minimalization, and understand that which tool is giving you real value, and also brings the collaboration of teams together. So these are the area that we should focus to go ahead and remove or discard those tools which don't actually give us value, and we keep spending money behind them. Then it should be fine.
Yeah, you're right. I think most people negate the fact that they have a lot of useless tools in their organization. So this is a nice point on a tool sprawl is the term, right?
What was the last time we cleaned our own wardrobe?
Yeah. When was the last time we, checked all the applications that's installed on our laptops? We don't. We just install it and forget about it. We use it once maybe and then.
And any unused thing. So this is one thing I wanted to talk about, that my core interest in operations is towards the firewall, right? So that one thing fascinates me. So when I talk about this firewall, there are rules, right? And we keep creating rules to allow, deny, these kind of things. But then we don't clean them up. So anything which is unused is a security problem for you. If not today, one day.
Oh, really?
So we should clean these unused applications, or even though if it's in use occasionally, not giving you that value, and that can be done by another tool, why should I have that?
Yeah, true. So that's a nice fact that we'll be taking home today. So thanks. And how does increased observability help DevOps and SecOps team in early detection and mitigation of potential issues or threats?
Right. I'll simplify this question. So DevOps, SecOps, we have something called as DevSecOps.
Really? Yeah. Is that a new term or?
We call that as DevSecOps. That's another. How this works? I'll give you this context behind it. So this DevOps team, I give you this example about the application. So you try to find, you collect the information via logs or traces from the codes or events or traps, however you want. You collect all these data. So we have this observability, right? So monitoring has evolved now to observability, because observability gives you a holistic visibility towards entire thing from the application front end to all these stacks that we understood. Now DevOps uses this observability platform. Now they have all these data collected, analyzed, processed, everything, and they have already been working with this data which is collected from real-time your network. So performance aspect, they look towards the performance aspect. Who? DevOps. DevOps core job is to make sure the end user is getting appropriate value from the application with respect to performance and the output what is supposed to deliver. So when you have this data which is collectively having a lot of rich information, when the security operations sit with DevOps data, they find a lot of information within that which can eventually give them visibility towards the loophole in the organization, right? So off late, SecOps, security operations, is spending more time with DevOps to understand the collected information, collected data, to identify which path or which trace or which log can be a threat, or the correlation of these things can give me better insight. I'll give you one real world example. Let's say I have a simple network. I have a firewall sitting at the outside, and then I have a router, then I have let's say a switch, and then I have the file server. Imagine there are 3 failed logons and a successful logon within 15 minutes on the firewall. Successful logon happens, and then the next was router. Same thing, 3 failed logons and a successful logon. Again on the switch, 3 failed logons and a successful logon. By now, it should trigger in your mind that failed logons are happening and then successful logon is happening. That means somebody is keep on retrying and entering. It should already trigger you by then that this is a security problem. And then there's a file moving from one location to another location in the file server. So you see this is a sequence of activity happening from the firewall till the file server, and this is concerning. This is something that you should look at, and all these information, the events, the traces, the logs, all these things are there with the operations team, with the observability platform. So if this information, the correlated information, can be given to the security operations, they can actually identify and they know how to mitigate or block things in between, right? So the value of bringing DevOps and SecOps together gives you not just the security aspect of outside to in, it also gives value to the DevOps itself. So when DevOps is preparing an application or coding an application or developing an application, they technically look at the security aspect of the codes, all those things within the tool. But then they don't have to worry about the networks, the organizational security. That can be taken care by the security operations. So yeah.
So actually, it's nice. I think gone are the days when teams individually worked. I think now teams work together collaboratively to secure an organization. And it's a good thing that my next question is also about collaboration. How is full stack observability improving collaboration among teams and enhancing user experience?
Nice. So there are two aspects in this question. One is collaboration between teams. I hope that grows. I really wish that to grow. Operations team to security team, the server team with your network team, that should grow. But still, these are different teams, right? Led by different leaders. But the business is only one, right? Yeah. The organization is one. Your goal as the organization, you have only one goal: to grow, right? You want to retain your customers, you want to give good experience to customer, you want to make your customers feel secure. That is your ultimate goal. So the data that we are dealing with between all these teams, the data should collaborate, right? That is the technical goal that the organization should have, right? Even though you have 100 of teams, doesn't matter, but the data should be the true data, right? The mitigation or a problem to the solution, the transition or the path between the problem and the solution, it should have the lowest time, as less as possible. And to achieve that, I have to have these teams collaborate. And when they collaborate, when the teams collaborate, they understand. You can actually mine a lot of things that you never thought of. For example, what is your priority versus what is my priority?
Yeah, it differs. Yeah,
it differs. But when we collaborate, we understand, okay, security is first, but security comes with a tax of user experience. You want to put multi-factor authentication, right? Yeah. So I remember when I joined this organization back in 2014, the activity, the logging in, all these things was pretty simple compared to today. But I feel more secure, right? As an end user, when I log in into my mail, it makes sure that it stays up to this session time, and then it logs out. So you re-authenticate yourself. I move between countries, continents, all these things. It makes sure that I don't have to worry about the security. So reliability comes with the security, and security is always a tax for the operation, right? So when you have this collaboration, you understand the priorities, you work towards the common priority, you achieve that priority, because the ultimate goal is the customer. I have to give experience, I have to give security, and I need to make sure I grow my business.
True. We are at the end of this podcast, and full stack observability is a complex topic in general.
It is.
And you've given a very good explanation, and you've simplified it with real life examples. So I'm sure the audience would have learned a lot of new things today, like how I did. So thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure.
I'll have you in another episode. So
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
yeah, thank you.